Welcome to another in our series of felting videos. This is Sue Bunch from Back to Back Fiber, and this video is to just talk about the basics, the materials that are used in needle felting. And I want to start out by telling you that needle felting needs to be done with animal fibers. Materials that we carry are alpaca fibers, and here is some natural alpaca fiber. And it has been sheared off the animals in the springtime across the country, and then it's been washed, and this is just the raw form in a lighter color. Alpaca comes in 22 natural colors. In the batting, we just use the come from about 400 different farms across the United States. So you can use alpaca, or you could use sheep wool. Some people even use dog hair that they've clipped off their dogs, or maybe have been when their dogs have been trimmed. But it has to be an animal fiber because the fibers have scales on fibers to felt, whether it's needle felting or wet felting. Today we're talking about needle felting. But so you can't use polyester or cotton or linen or anything like that. It has to be an animal fiber. So we take the alpaca fiber here, and then we have it after it's cleaned, and then it's sent to a factory to make quilt batting, which is what this is. We call this Pacafill, and it's typically used for quilters and to go inside of a quilt. And of course it makes it very warm and cozy. Alpaca has some very interesting qualities to it if you don't know about it. Every fiber, that we looked at these fibers earlier, each one of these fibers is incredibly fine, finer than baby hair, and each one is hollow. It's one of the only fibers on Earth that's hollow. I think polar bears are maybe the only other animals that have a hollow fiber, and that's what makes it incredibly warm. Alpaca also does not have lanolin like sheep wool does, and so most people are, or maybe they're allergic to it. It's typically the lanolin that they're allergic to, but alpaca doesn't have that. It also repels water. If you have put water on it, it kind of just beads and rolls off. It will eventually soak into it, but that's an interesting quality about it as well. So we have found that as well as for quilters, it works wonderfully for felters. And so you can see it's pretty sturdy here. And I've even had people needle felt onto it and decorate and maybe even sew it into a coat or something. But this is what we are using for some of our needle felting projects. Then we take this Pacafill and we dye it into a lot of bright colors. You can see I like bright colors, and these are just a few of them. I have about 15 different colors that I dye in. And so you can see what it looks like after it's dyed here. It really takes up the color nicely, and it makes it a lot of fun for trying different felting projects. And then when it's dyed, we call it Pacafill Brights. The other materials that we use for needle felting are roving, and I'll show you some. We have it in about 15 different colors, some of them natural colors. I told you alpacas come in 22 colors, and here's some of the natural colors. If you drive by an alpaca farm, you might see some of the animals just in these colors here, but also black and gray and all different colors in between. So they're not in these bright colors, but we dye them. We take the lighter colors, and then it goes to a mill that prepares it into this material that we call roving. Roving is typically prepared for spinners, and it's what they use for spinning yarn. So they'll pull it out like this and twist it in their spinning wheel, and it will twist into make a piece of yarn. But for felters, we just use tiny little pieces of this, and if you look up closely, you'll see that all the fibers are kind of combed, all going in one direction, sort of like when you comb your hair. And so when you pull it out, you can get it very, very thin like this. And with felting, we just pull off little puffs like that. And then we use that for our paint. So the other materials that we need to use for needle felting, we need a few different tools. And one of them is a piece of foam. And it needs to be a pretty dense kind of foam because we use a special felting needle. So get yourself a piece of dense foam, and they'll last quite a while. Some of those that aren't so dense, it may not last so long, but it depends on how much felting that you do. This is a felting needle, and this is what they look like. There's a little kind of an L shape, a little notch at this end, and at this end, about the last inch of it, there are little barbs, and as you can turn it, and with your finger, if you can feel, it feels a little bit like sandpaper. But if you would look at it under a microscope, there would be little barbs, sort of like a fish hook barb. And that's what, as you move the needle and punch the needle through the different layers of the fibers, that's what begins to tangle the fibers and hold it together and turn it into felt. The other tool that I like to have around is a little wooden stick. It could be a popsicle stick, it could be a pencil or a pen, but something like this, and you'll see as we work on this little project why that's a good idea to have a stick to hold the fibers down and keep you from poking yourself with the felting needle. I thought just to show you how to do needle felting and to have you practice yourself, I have a little finished project here. It could be like a fun and easy project, and it's a way to learn how to do some needle felting. So we're just going to start out with a piece of the Alpaca batting, and I just cut a little strip here. And then we have our brights here that we talked about. And so let me pick out a few colors of that. And then I need to get a pair of scissors. And so I'm just going to cut up some little strips of some of these colors here. And we could cut them in little circles or triangles, or let's cut a few little triangles off of this piece. And we can see how easily that we can do our needle felting. Needle felting has become a very popular new craft, and it's fun to watch people work with it because it's so easy to do, and pretty much anybody can do it as long as you're careful with the needles. So especially even little children, maybe as old as 7 or 8 years old, if they're careful with the needle and are supervised, they should be able to do it quite nicely. And many people that work with it often will say how relaxing it is. There's something about the movement of the needle, the repetitive movement, that is a very relaxing kind of an activity to do. So I'm just going to cut out, you can see, a few different shapes here. And we can just lay them down and randomly, or make a plan how you want to do this. And we'll just do this quickly here. But just to give you an idea of how you can work with the different materials. So just lay them down on your backing like that. And you'll notice when you're looking at the Alpaca brights, there is a right and a wrong side. The lighter colored side is the wrong side. The material is punched into a material that's called a scrim. And if you look up really closely, it's a man-made material, and so it does not dye like the alpaca and wool that's in the Alpaca. So that's the wrong side, and then this would be the right side. So lay your pieces down right side up, hand, and we work with it vertically. So we're going to use the felting stick to hold the piece down. So let's say we're going to work on this piece, and you're just going to punch up and down like this, all over, just random, wherever you want it. You don't have to do it in any specific pattern, but you can hear it now crunching down into the foam. And try to get in the habit of holding your needle vertically, sort of like think of yourself as a little sewing machine, going up and down, up and down, up and down like that. And you can see why the stick helps it. Sometimes if you're holding your hand like this, you could get, if you get distracted, you're watching TV, somebody calls you, you need to talk to them, you might not be paying attention and could easily poke yourself. So that's why the little felting stick works good. It keeps your hand just far enough away. So you can see with just that little bit of punching that's already starting to hold down. And same with this. You just keep working away like that. Hold it with your stick and just punch up and down. Some people just punch the very tip, but you need to make sure that you punch further down into the foam because it's that first inch of the needle that does the work. So up and down, up and down, up and down like that. Whenever you take a break, so maybe you're going to take a break and cut some more pieces and do some more colors that you want to do for your design, try to get in the habit of parking your needle back into the foam. Sometimes it's easy to just take it and lay it on the side of the table, and then it's easy to get lost, fall on the floor, you want to step on it, sit on it, whatever. It's not fun, so just kind of get yourself in the habit of parking your needle each time that you stop using it. Now the next thing you can do is start adding other colors with the roving. And all you need to do then is pull out a piece of the roving, and then just at the very tip, you just grab and pull off a little puff like that. So let's say we're going to add a little color onto this little shape here. Then you're just going to take it with your needle and just start punching it in. And you will see it doesn't take too much that you can start making little shapes. And you can do some very fine lines. You can see as we're moving, you can just a few little pokes, and you've been able to create a whole different little shape right on the top of the brights. You can do very, very thin pieces, extremely thin pieces, and just lay them on the top, and it kind of gives a little shadow effect. I have friends that do whole paintings this way, and they add all different kinds of colors and shapes, and it makes it a very, very interesting project. So here's another color. Let's add a little bit different color to this one as well. So you can see there's pretty easy to do. Oh, gotta make sure to get my felting stick back out here so I don't get myself poked. And as many times as I've done this, now and then I still poke myself. So you kind of get the general idea of pretty easy to do. You can needle felt on some other materials as well. It's fun to needle felt possibly onto a sweater. You could do some embellishment on a sweater. If it's like a wool sweater or some of this brights and cut it into little shapes. Some people knit things and then felt them. And you could then needle felt on an embellishment on top of that. The other thing you could needle felt on is denim. It's fun to embellish your jeans. And you put a design right on your jeans. Steam on both sides. And that takes the fibers and felts them all together. And I'm going to pull this up so you can see what's happening on the back side. And this is exactly what happens. The fibers are poking through, and that's what you want to happen. And maybe you can see even from this direction how some of the fibers have. At our website, you will be able to find several short videos that will give you some instructions on how to make some other small, quick needle felted projects. So one of them that people like to do are beads, and you can make them quickly on our felting stick. And then often I take them and put them onto a braided piece of yarn and needle felt the bead to that, and it makes a fun little bookmark. You can also do using the same technique as we learned in the video how to make the felted beads, and just using pieces in larger diameter. You can felt bracelets or scarf rings, and that will be in another video that you will find at our website. These funky felted pins are another one of our projects you can find as a short video. They can be worn as a little piece of wearable art, or you can mount them and frame them, and it can be a little piece of fiber art to display in your home or give as a gift to a friend. Another video that you'll find at our website is to make these little felted balls. They're fun to do as a cat toy or maybe for a little child to play with. Could be even a juggling ball or just a group of them in a basket for a fun decoration.